Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and it's been a while since I've talked about Uber's self-driving cars and their autonomous division and program, and then in one day I have two videos to talk about it. Granted, both the stories are a little late, but they're still relevant. Now, I've already uploaded the one about the Uber freight, so you can check that out at the end of this video, but the main story is that Uber made a bold, and I mean bold, proclamation that the Uber self-driving cars were back on the roads of Pittsburgh. And this is actually despite the fact that the mayor of Pittsburgh was not aware, just as little as about a month ago, that they were even in discussions to bring the cars on their road. And he was quite shocked. And I was like, well, I guess they're not actually going to put them on the road, except that they did. And except for the fact that their reason for doing so and their big victory is way wilder and much more funny than you would actually anticipate. There's a reason it took me a while to hear about this story, because this simply wasn't news. And yet we're going to talk about it. So here's the article. Uber has taken the first step towards relaunching its self-driving cars on Pittsburgh area streets for 4 months after a fatal accident involving one of the cars in Arizona. A spokeswoman said the company put a handful of vehicles back on the road at noon Tuesday with some safety modifications to the cars and driver training. But for now, the cars won't be free of human control or respond to hot ride-hailing cars. Like, wow. I told you this was pretty much a non-story, and yet I just have to. So anyway, the rollout, taking place only in Pittsburgh, where the bulk of Uber's engineering outfit and test track is located, will run the cars only in manual mode with 2 safety drivers called mission specialists. Yeah, I'm sure they're going to be minimum wage, non-bachelor degree specialists. I mean, we already talked about this on one of the previous podcast episodes, but they don't require anything higher than a high school education. They're not specialists. They're people driving a car, and in one case, they're sitting in the car, in the front seat. One of the operators will have their hands on the wheel at all times, and the other will document any incidents or issues for future. There's no reason to adjust or write down. If there is a problem with the car, that's because the driver is being stupid. These cars are not driving in autonomous mode. They are being manually driven the whole time. Why does Uber need to even study this? There's no reason for them to study it. This is just a way for them to say, oh, look, they're on the road and we're monitoring them. It's like, yeah, but you don't need to monitor them. They're not driving themselves. They've got people behind them, and that's why Pittsburgh isn't going to stop this, because as far as they're concerned, you're just driving a car. You're not testing anything potentially dangerous. You are just driving a car, which I guess means this is going to be especially funny if one of these is an accident. I mean, what is the headline going to be? Like, even Uber's cars that have drivers get into accidents. I mean, wow. So, anyway, a car in autonomous mode is operated or driven without active physical control by a person sitting in the driver's seat, while a driver operating in manual mode has the ability to brake, turn the steering wheel, or control other objects. Yes! Exactly! So, these aren't autonomous tests. It's just not. Quote, building best-in-class self-driving technology will take time, and safety is our priority every step of the way. Eric Mayhofer, there he is again, head of Uber Advanced Technologies Group, wrote in a blog entry posted to medium.com Tuesday. Mayhofer outlined some of the changes that have been made to the car since the fatal accident in Tempe, Arizona in March. Yeah, I guess assuming one of those changes is the cars don't drive themselves. I'm going to guess that's just one of the changes that you've mandated based on this article. Elaine Hertzberg was struck and killed by a... Okay, yeah, so that's repeated news. Mayhofer said the cars will now have driver monitoring systems that alert a remote driver if the drivers are not being attentive. Okay. Uber's collision avoidance system, which was already built into the cars, will now remain enabled during manual driving. Okay. The in-car front tablet is used to show traffic patterns and upcoming directions has been modified to, quote, further reduce potential distractions while the vehicle is in motion. Well, If it's a person driving the car, then a tablet, by definition, being in the car is a distraction. Now, if the person is not driving the car, and if the car is driving itself, then the tablet doesn't matter. But since the person is driving the car, I guess that's a distraction. Let's see here. Where was I? The details of those modifications were not released, and it was... Oh, yeah, the details of the modifications were not released, and it was unclear if that meant a driver could not stream television, as was found in the March accident. Yeah, you'd think they'd want to clarify that, like whether or not you could actually stream Hulu, since that was what the lady who was in the accident was doing. She was watching Hulu instead of watching the road. The company also increased driver training at its test track near Pittsburgh. Oh, is the YouTube video 8 minutes long instead of 6 now? I wonder. And Mayhofer said the Pittsburgh rollout will help the company make further adjustments by creating real-life scenarios for driver training. Except, again, this is supposed to be about self-driving cars. You need the cars to work, not the humans. It's interesting how Uber's kind of trying to preface this like, we're training our humans to pay better attention to the road so that they know what to do in case of a situation. And that actually seems to be hurting their case from my perspective, because it's like, well, again, the cars are supposed to drive themselves. They're supposed to pick up on these things, and you should be enhancing the sensors for the cars to be able to notice this without the driver. Instead, you've made all these changes to help alert the driver more, which the whole goal and idea is to get the driver out of the driver's seat. There's no story here. The company would not specify how many cars are being put on the streets in the roll. And it doesn't matter. If they put 100 out there, they're all being manually driven. No one's going to care. So, yeah, that's Uber for you. That is Uber for you. So, yeah, they technically got the self-driving cars back on the roads of Pittsburgh. And they didn't need to talk to the mayor or any government official, because they're being driven. They're being driven by humans. And what they're probably going to try to do, this seems pretty desperate to me, but it seems like they are going to try to take this information. They're going to hope that there's no accidents or anything. They're going to go to the Pittsburgh mayor and the city hall and say, hey, you see, you've been on the road for a while. They've been in no accidents. Can we put them in autonomous mode again? Now, I still don't know whether they would actually do that. Again, Uber kind of burned their bridge a little. They jumped the gun. They said, oh, we're going to be putting them back on the road in Pittsburgh. Now that we know that it's manual, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, they have autonomous features, but they're being driven manually. You don't need any special permission to put those on the road. But the mayor was questioning, like, they never talked to us. Why are they making this announcement? And those are the sort of things that do not help your cause. So whether Pittsburgh would even allow them to even turn those features back on when they show more disrespect by just, hey, we're going to keep you off. We're just going to put them on the road and we're not even going to talk to you. That is another matter altogether. Personally, again, I keep saying this isn't a news story because it isn't. It really isn't. There's a reason no one's talking about this. There's a reason CNN isn't covering this and Fox isn't carrying this and NBC, because nobody cares. It's like, hey, when you put the deadly technology that killed that poor woman who was just crossing the street back on the road, then we'll care. We don't care if the cars are being driven by regular people. Regular drivers kill people all the time. Like I said, it's just going to be very interesting, like, if one of these drivers accidentally gets into an accident or kills another pedestrian. Because at that point, you can tell the media will have a field day with the headlines. Like, Uber's cars kill people even when they're being manually controlled, or something to that effect. Now, the reason I'm making the video about it is because I just kind of like kicking Uber when they're down sometimes. And it's very clear that Uber's self-driving division is beyond dead. It's beyond dead. Nobody wants to deal with their driverless cars. And Uber themselves have shut down the self-driving truck division, which was the only division where the trucks were actually kind of working, and the service was actually very close to making them real, tangible money. But they are private. They technically don't need to make money yet. So, yeah, forget it. Get them out. Like, let's, focus on the self-driving cars, even though they're not bringing nearly as much in. So, yeah. So that's what we're going to leave today. What do you folks think? Do you Do you think this is anything? Do you think Uber's eventually going to get those cars back on the road? If so, how long? I would love to know. So, comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy the videos I make, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.